Welcome to Gen Z Journey. Today we have Thai together with us. Thai identify themselves as non-binary. They are born in Eisenach, Thuringia, Germany in the year 1998. They studied educational science and music education in Technical University of Braunschweig. And they are a former Isaacer and currently working as an executive assistant at Essentia. Thai, did I miss out on any interesting parts of your life that you would like to add on?
I think those are the most important ones.
I see. Okay. Then let's jump straight into what you studied. So you studied education, science, and music education. Wow, that's actually very specific. What was the
Mhm.
plan back then?
It is very specific, and it's literally like I was the only person at the whole university studying that specific combination, and you can study that specific combination not many universities in Germany, so it is actually very specific. My plan since I was younger, like I don't know, when I was like
Hmm?
15 or 16 or something, the idea was that I wanted to do something in my life where I can combine helping people and like doing something positive with music because I've always done music. It was always like the only thing that I'm good at, kind of. But I didn't want to be like a music teacher, and I knew that being professional in music is kind of like a rocky career path, let's say. So the choice that I made, or the idea that I had, was a music therapist, because there's actually different therapy forms that can complement very well with music therapy. It's very, very interesting, and it's still being scientifically discovered, let's say, and there's still a lot of scientific research happening around it. So it's also just very interesting to get into it and learn more about it, I think. And that's why I studied that specific bachelor, so then I can add up a music therapy master's on top of it. Yes.
Okay, wow. So you're very into music. Like, what instruments or like have you played before this?
Before, like during school, I was mainly singing and being in a choir, and I've been playing the piano since I was six. And then during university, singing was also my main instrument, let's say. And then I had actually as my second instrument guitar, because I was like, okay, I'm getting free lessons. Let's take something that I don't know yet. And then my third instrument basically was singing while playing the piano. It's a little bit more complicated than that because some things were mandatory, some not, but those were the main things that I did in university.
I see. Okay, interesting. After after graduating, did you continue to pursue your pathway go to become a music therapist?
No. Actually, no. My plans changed somewhere maybe like halfway during my study time, during my bachelor's. Actually, I think Isaac had a big part in it because it made me realize that I want to do more than just impact the life of the person that is right in front of me in that moment. Um, but there's like different things that come with it. I mean, one part was that I realized that I just it's just not enough for me anymore, let's say. Even though I still think it's amazing and very, very interesting. But a part is also that it's really difficult actually to get a master's in music therapy because in Germany they're all either private universities where you pay like thousands of euros, or it's like a combination with work, but you have to work already as something that is at least similar to being a music therapist. So it's like, okay, I need this study in order to work that, but I need to work that in order to study it. It's it's very complicated, and it kind of pissed me off to have, this very complicated academic way to actually reach the goal. And I was just like, I'm not gonna pay 20,000 euros just to get this master's. So I never did it, and right now there is no plan to do it at some point. But plans can change, so let's see.
I see. Interesting. Okay. But if I'm not mistaken, I saw that you went into the education field. Am I right?
Kind of, yes. Like directly after my studies, I worked
Hmm.
as a music teacher for very young children, like music early education, for a couple of months, which was very interesting, and I really liked it. But it also showed me that that's not something that I want to do, and that I don't want to work as like a music teacher or something like that.
I see. Okay. How did it feel like working in the education field, and what made you feel like, oh, I'm confirmed that I don't want to be a music teacher?
It was parts of it were amazing. Like when you have,
Mhm.
children and then you see them opening up through music and connecting to other children or to the teacher through music. Like that's just so cool. And seeing these children being so creative and like, bringing all these things into it was really, really nice. But the problem is just that you have like you're alone and then you have, I don't know, 8 to 12 children in front of you and you just cannot give every child the same attention even though every child deserves a different kind of attention, let's say. Like there are some children that they would need more of a one-to-one connection and more of one-to-one lessons to actually take something out of those lessons, and other children they're just there, and they are doing fine, but of course you cannot just neglect them, you also need to give them attention, and I think balancing that was really difficult for me and showed me that I felt like I was never 100% satisfied with my lessons because I always felt like, okay, somebody did not get the time and attention that they deserved. So yeah, and the special thing about music early education is that it's not something mandatory in school. It's more that, but also it's not like the children go there voluntarily, right? Because they're like 4 years old, they don't know anything, so they're like only signing up because their parents want to sign them up. So a lot of children there, they literally have not an ounce of musical talent. But the parents think that, their child is the next John Bon Jovi or something, and then you're sitting there and trying to trying to explain to parents that this is not really what the child should be doing. And
Okay, okay.
yeah, so that part was also very interesting.
Wow, okay. Well, yeah, okay. I totally get what you mean, and then it sounds like it's really not a easy job, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I really learned to have. I mean, even before that, I had immense respect for teachers, but now experiencing it myself, even just in this small capacity, it really made me even more baffled by what they do every day.
I see. Was it stressful working there?
Mm, Not so much because I had a pretty chill schedule, so it was more like
Mm-hmm.
just twice a week, and then I had different groups. And I mean I was preparing every week, but I also had a lot of time to prepare the lessons. And in the lessons themselves, it was in the beginning, of course, it's stressful because you don't know what to expect and you don't know the children. But then after a couple of weeks, they also get to know you, and then they feel more safe with you as well, and then they open up, and then they also contribute a lot to the lessons. So it was actually it was okay after some time, but as with every new situation, I think you just need to get into it in the beginning.
I see. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Going back a bit into your university years where you mentioned that you spent a lot of time in Isaac and then it made you realize that, sometimes it's not about just impacting the person directly in front of you. Can you tell us more about your experience in Isaac?
For sure. I joined ISIC in 2019 on the local level in Braunschweig. So there was like a local committee there. And then I pretty quickly also became part of the leadership board of that local committee. And after that, while I was still at university, but also after I was in university, I went more into the national level and like helped out there. And then after some time, it also became actually my full-time job. And I was how do I explain? I was the leader of one department for all of Germany. So we have
Wow.
multiple products. We have three products or product. Yeah, we call them products, but they're like, I mean, they are products, but they're more like programs. So we have three programs of sending people from Germany abroad to other countries, and I was leading the whole department of those three products for Germany. Yeah,
Wow.
that was wild.
Okay, okay.
And I
I
think I
see.
think that whole experience made me realize that, by being, for example, a team leader, I mean, also, of course, by creating those experiences for the people that went abroad, but also by being a team leader, I was not only, mm, helping to develop the people that were going abroad, but also the people that were helping to send them abroad. So when you're a team leader and you're like delegating tasks and you're like, checking, okay, what is the person in my team? What are they maybe missing? Where could they still develop? What is something that they actually want to develop? And how can I get them to that point? How can I support them on that way? And
Mhm.
them doing that and developing themselves through, actually developing other people again. So it's kind of like a chain reaction that just gives you a feeling that even by just one talk or giving them one specific task, you can actually have like a ripple effect. And I think that's something incredibly beautiful and strong and just amazing to witness.
I see. Do you have like a proudest product program that you have like led within Isaac that you would love to share?
There are a couple. There are a couple, to be honest.
Okay.
I think one of my favorite ones is Beatrix. She was my how do I describe it? So I first met her when I was not like the leader of the department yet. I was kind of like
Hmm.
the right hand, let's say. So supporting
Okay.
one of the programs specifically, and she was leading that program in Aachen, in her city. And I was kind of just, helping her along the way when she had questions and like guiding her and like consulting her in a sense. And when she joined ISIC, she was like super new and she directly became like the head of her department in Aachen. And so she was kind of lost in the beginning. And through that year, because every position in ISIC is usually like a year for like of time. Um, and just seeing her develop throughout that year and becoming way more confident in what she was doing was so, so, so cool. And then when she got to finish her position, I asked her if she wanted to apply to become my right hand because then I was a division leader and I needed someone for that specific program. And she said yes. And that was
Mm.
amazing because then I got to work with her even more and not only in a sense of consulting her and like giving her, ideas on what to do, but actually being able to be her personal leader and like being part of that development journey of hers. And that was just really, really cool to see her become an incredibly knowledgeable and self-aware and also just like confident woman in that specific field and literally leading like 20 people throughout all of ISIC in Germany and helping them again to develop. That was really, really cool. And then she also won an award within ISIC in Germany that I was able to give to her. And it was just, yeah, very beautiful experience.
Sounds amazing. Wow. Or sounds lovely. Amazing. Wow. As a you mentioned that you have so much like you have been a leader in like for quite some time in like during your university years and then after that like as a full-time job as well within Isaac. What's
Mhm.
the biggest thing you have learned that's very important in being a leader?
I think being able to adapt is the most important one, I would say. Actually, there are a couple. There are a couple really, really important ones. I think being able to reflect, of course, is really important, but that's not just as a leader, but that's important for everybody always. Like you should always be able to take some time to reflect on who you are, what you're doing, how you are, acting towards other people. But I think especially as a leader, it's really important to be able to adapt to different situations. So when you have a problem, you're not, focusing on that problem, but you're focusing on the solution and adapting in a way to make that solution work. But also, and that was one of my biggest learnings as a team leader, I think, to adapt to the different people in your team. Because everybody needs something different. Everybody needs a different version of you, let's say, in order to support them the best, and being able to first of all find out what that version is that they need, what is the kind of leader that they need, and then adapting to that version and making sure that it is the thing that they need or the way how they can develop best. um that's a really, really cool learning and something that you need to continue practicing. But I think it's really fun to also reflect on yourself, like how can you give the people what they need in that moment.
That is amazing. And you mentioned that you did it as a full-time job after that in
Mhm.
Isaac as well. Did that felt different? Because like personally, when I imagine it, back when you're in a club in a university, I think it's definitely their responsibility. But I guess if it's not a full-time job, it feels like it's more okay to make mistakes or something. Like, so does
Mhm.
it feel any different when you did it as a full-time job?
It's definitely very different.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I like that.
the responsibility level is just like times 1,000 because suddenly you're taking all the decisions, and there was literally no one who had any say in what I was doing. I mean, I had a team leader, of course. She was like the leader of ISIC in Germany as a whole.
Mhm.
And I mean, I was checking things with her and getting her opinion on stuff, but there was no one who was like, no, you cannot do that in a sense of way. Like she gave me a lot of free hand to take decisions to see what I think is best for this organization and going with that, which is a really big responsibility, because if you know, take a decision and then you fuck it up, then it's not just one person that gets affected, but it's literally a whole country and an organization for the whole country. So that was definitely a different feeling. And I mean, just in general, doing something 24/7, because the thing is, when you are part of the national board of ISEC in Germany, it's a full-time job, not only in a sense of you're working 40 hours a week and you're doing that most of the day, but it's literally 24/7, because there's not really a separation between your work life and your private life. So I was working most of the weeks. I was working like 50 hours a week, I would say. Sometimes it would be like 60 or 70 hours a week if it was like high time. You are living with your team members, so you're literally surrounded by the same people 24/7. In most of the countries, not in Germany, but in most of the countries, people actually live in the office, let's say, or they work from home. So you're literally at the same spot all the time. And then most of the weekends, you're also somewhere at conferences, visiting other local committees or like other cities. Um, Still working on things because they need to be done, being on team building exercises, all of those things. And then, for example, I mean, my phone, it was just my private WhatsApp number that I was using, and that's how I would get messages. So sometimes you get a message about something at like 11 p.m. And then, of course, you need to decide for yourself, am I going to answer that, or can it wait until tomorrow morning? But I think having that kind of, going from 0 to 100 level, because it was my first full-time working experience, I think it helped me, or taught me a lot about boundaries and what is important for me in my work life. But until this day and forever, until the day I die, I stand by that. I think it's an incredible privilege that I got to have that position, because at that moment, and still it's something that I love truly, and at that moment it was like the thing that gave me the most joy in my life. And being able
Wow.
to feel that joy all the time, every day, every second of every day for a full year, and being able to share that with a team and with the people that are surrounded by you the whole time, which just also makes it an incredible team experience. I think that's just beautiful and really, really hard to understand if you haven't gone through it yourself. And I'm really, really thankful that I got to do that experience.
Wow, okay. Wow, it sounded really amazing. I can even feel the energy by just like your when you're
You have
sharing it
never
and
you
all
have
that.
never been part of ISEC, right?
No, I do know about it, but I do kind of regret. Like I think back in university, my first year, definitely I was like picking different clubs and society and all that. But definitely, I'm happy to have met a few amazing friends, like including you today. Yeah, now like all these people, it really shows how beautiful Isaac is. I like even my sister right now. I think she's finishing high school really soon. I think in next year or something. So I did tell her about like Isaac, and then it's definitely something that she can consider about.
That's
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah, for
But
sure.
mm, you mentioned about boundaries. I think that is a very important thing, especially I think since COVID. During COVID, I guess, like when people are working remotely and all this, there's like no clear boundaries between work and life. How did you manage to separate them?
I mean, COVID was like, especially in the sense of ISEC, was really special for me, because it was literally like I joined ISEC in like October 2019, and then I became the head of my department in Braunschweig at our local committee in February 2020. So literally when COVID started, and then the whole like my whole time was just COVID. Um, but I truly think that it helped me a lot to be so busy. So because my COVID time, basically, I mean, I was kind of finishing up university. I think I was already in the like fifth semester or something, or sixth even. I'm not sure. Um, and I had university, but not as much as in the first few semesters. And then at the same time, I was doing ISEC around 15 to 20 hours per week. And then I was also working actually in a testing station, like COVID testing
Okay.
station, because I felt like I mean, first of all, I needed money, but also I felt like I want to do something where I feel like I can somehow help to, keep this pandemic in check. Which was also one of the best jobs I ever had. I really loved that job. But I think being so busy the whole time and really having like things to do, and also especially having a job where I got out of the house, I think that helped a lot to, first of all, keep my mental health kind of in check, to, because you're not running crazy in your own little flat, not leaving it for 7 days straight. But
True.
also with learning how to put boundaries and how to schedule my time. Because the thing is, I feel like, especially for me, if I'm not forced to learn something, I'm not going to learn it. So having a lot of things on my plate and being forced to learn how to manage myself and how to manage my time actually made me learn self and time management, and being able to put, like, practice, okay, what is working for me, and then putting those things into place and into a routine, and into mechanisms that help me keep my boundaries and keep my mental health in check, and like keeping all of the different things that I was doing in my life in a good rhythm. But yeah, I think it only happened because I had multiple things on my plate and I had to learn how to deal with it. Yeah.
Okay. But right now, if you had a choice, would you put yourself in that same situation again?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I do like being busy and doing
Mhm.
multiple things. Like, I cannot be a person that is only working or only, I don't know, I was jobless for a few months last year, and like
Mhm.
only having your hobbies to, like having to find hobbies to pass time is really, really
Mhm.
difficult actually. So I think I enjoy having multiple things on hand, but of course
Mhm.
I mean, I would definitely never go back to a time of a pandemic. That was just, I think we can all agree that was horrible. Um, but I think, no, actually, apart from the pandemic, I would go back to that part of my life where I
Okay.
had, university and work and this, because I do feel like I enjoy being busy and taking different things out of every aspect of my life, let's say.
I see. Okay. That's really interesting. That's cool. Wow. I'm
Mhm.
glad to hear that. But when you talk about how, just having a hobby to sustain your life is not enough, I totally agree with that because I mean, personally, right now, I'm still unemployed. I've been unemployed since July. And
Mhm.
then if it's not for this podcast and then like the other things that I'm working on right now, life would have been very boring. Like it would,
Right?
because like yeah, especially I think sometimes have even if you have the hobby to work on, the thing is your friends are not there. It's not
Mhm.
they're working. Like
Mhm.
they're only free on weekends. So it kind of takes out a bit of a fun as well if you're not doing it with your friends and all that.
Yeah, for sure. But how is it going? I remember from one of your previous episodes that you were applying to different jobs. How is it going on a job front for you?
Oh yes, good question. So, it's been going okay. Well, today I got rejected by one, but it's fine. I
Mm.
don't know, like right now, so many things are happening. So I am kind of because a very funny thing. So I've been applying to multiple jobs, and then one feedback I got from them is that I they are unsure about my experience in like the commercial side of things, sales and marketing and all that. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, that's good. I got a feedback, and then I'm
Yeah.
starting to learn more about it. I asked other people for resources to learn about this, but because I am working when I'm working on this podcast, so basically I need to create platforms to manage all this content like guest lists and everything, and I've been using Notion a lot. So suddenly one day I was just like running, and then this idea just popped into my head. I was like, I kind of know Notion quite a bit.
Hmm.
Why not I start a Notion consultancy service? Do you use Notion?
I actually don't, but I know about it. Like,
Oh,
I know a lot of people who use it, and I know that it's supposed to be amazing once you get into it. I just don't. And right now, I also don't feel like I have the need for it because there's not a lot
time.
of things happening in my life.
I see.
But
I
I,
get
I
what you
do
mean.
think that it can be a great tool for, keeping
Mm.
different parts of your life in check and keeping lists and keeping an overview.
Yeah, so yeah, because I've been using Notion so much for like my
Hmm.
my my podcast and everything, so I realized that some businesses might be interested to use Notion, but then sometimes like they might be like you, they know that it's useful, but then they don't know how to do
Hmm.
it. So I started my Notion consultancy service right now, trying to
Cool.
sell my services. Well, if I get to sell them, it means that I know how to do commercial stuff, which I can tell in my interview. If
Good.
I don't get to sell them, I can tell all the interviews that, here's 10 ways you shouldn't sell things because it did not work out for me. So either way, it's a good experience, and then I'm not losing much. So right now I'm focusing on that. I actually started I know that you don't have much time, but I actually started like quite some Notion courses for free, Notion workshop, live workshop for free. If you're interested, definitely feel free to join. Yeah,
Yeah, that
so
sounds really good.
yeah, yeah, so that's what I am working on right now. So it is quite exciting. Definitely, it added more things onto my plate. I feel like right now I'm in the situation where that you're in. Like I have this podcast, and then I have
Hmm.
this Notion thing, and then recently, I don't know, I have so many ideas for like reels. In fact, I think later I might be recording a few reels. I just had this idea. I was like, like it's good idea, so why not just put it out there? So it's been a bit busy for me right now, but it's good. It's good busy. It's good busy.
I think that's very
Yeah.
cool. And I think also that, I mean, for example, it's proven that your creativity increases when you don't do anything. And I think it can be the same when, especially with like job perspectives. And I think a lot of young people like us are kind of lost in what to do with their life. And
Mhm.
me too. I mean, I don't know shit. And I think a lot of people don't realize that sometimes you need to take a minute to just breathe and wait and see what comes out of it and just see what happens. And I think it's so great that you were just thinking about, okay, what do I actually do well and what do I actually know a lot about and how can I make that into a career, let's say, or at least in one part of my professional life. And I think that's something that a lot of young people don't realize, that sometimes you just need to do nothing in order to understand what you actually want to do.
Yes, actually, it's a very funny thing. So I think since the end of COVID, I actually scheduled one, like I would put a every last Sunday of the month, I'm supposed to just, do nothing. So I'm supposed to have my phones off and everything,
Mhm.
and then just I can go outside and walk and all that, but I'm not supposed to be distracted by other stuff. So
Mhm.
like kind of like do nothing. I had that all the time, and I never never did anything. I never, no, I was constantly doing something. I never
Yeah.
followed that day. Yeah, until now I still haven't, but I guess, yeah, this unemployment does allow me to put off a lot more work that other people ask me to do, and then actually start thinking about what I probably want to do. I actually, like, after I got unemployed, I would actually recommend most people, not to say that you should get unemployed, but if you, even for when you're transitioning to another job, it's
Mhm.
actually good to have like maybe a 1 month break
Mhm.
to kind of have a reset on your life, kind of figure out,
Definitely.
oh, which part of your life has been a bit confused, out of place, your schedule, like your own life goals and all that. It's time to realign and all that, because
Yeah.
sometimes we're just too busy chasing whatever the job is asking us to, and then we forgot about ourselves.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yes, I am truly happy that I get to experience this, but definitely it'll still be good to have a job soon. I think in one of my episodes I say that I'm quite confident that I'll get one job by December, by the progress that I'm seeing. But we'll see how it goes. I'm not
Nice.
stressing myself on that. Yeah.
I'm pressing all my thumbs for you. I don't know if that's a saying in English. It's something we say in German.
Okay. Well, I like the sound of it. Yeah. But yes, back onto you. You worked in Isaac, and then after that, you switched to the corporate field, like
Mhm.
switched to Essential. Am I right?
Yes. Yes. I'm actually it's a little bit more complicated than that because I'm actually right
Okay.
now being like I'm in Prague with Isaac kind of. Like I'm using
Hmm.
one of the programs that Isaac offers to like I use one to get my job that I have right now in Prague.
Oh.
So I'm still somehow connected actually with Isaac. But the working contract that I have with my company is like 100% with my company and it's actually also unlimited and all of that good stuff. So yes, I'm working for corporate right now, and it's definitely very, very different. It's yeah, I don't know. It's just so interesting to compare this, high responsibility all of the time NGO, not getting many material rewards, let's say, but more having this like mental satisfaction job compared to a job where it's more like, okay, I'm actually just here 9 to 5, and then I close my laptop and it's out of my mind. And then I get my salary, I get my benefits, and I'm good
Mm,
to go, kind of. And at the same time, not having much responsibility, but also not getting super much out of it, like mentally or, like development wise, I would say. Um,
mm.
so yeah, it's for sure an interesting experience. I'm very, very thankful that I can be here, but it mostly shows me what I don't want to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So have you like learned more things that you don't want to do from this job?
I think in general, I don't want to work in a capitalistic system so much. I mean, our whole system is capitalistic. It's like not, it's impossible to get out of it completely, but at least I don't want to support it through my work, because I really feel like I just want to work somewhere where it's not, where the main goal is not making money. Because I do see how this is, putting away some other values that I think are more important, and that should be more important for any kind of work. And I think, especially in the corporate world, a lot of companies are like, oh, we have these values and we really strive for that, and we really strive for that. And a lot of it is true. A lot of it is true. Like, for example, also at Accenture, they're like one of their big yeah things that they're always talking about is that they're super LGBTQ friendly, which is very true. I think it's definitely one of the most LGBTQ friendly community, like, companies out there, I'm guessing. um which is really, really cool to see, especially for a big corporate. And I think it also sends an important signal to other companies that, it is possible and it is important, and it not, it doesn't diminish, but actually enhances your work and your employees. But at the same time, it's like, okay, there are other values that I also need to see, because apart from that, it's like mostly about making money, which makes sense because it's a company. It's not their fault. It's the fault of the system.
Mm,
So
mm.
I think in the future, I definitely want to go back more in the NGO direction,
I see.
and feeling more like I'm working for the actual cause of that specific project or of that specific workplace, and not doing something to, in the end, only have the goal of getting more money.
I see. I get what you mean. That is amazing. That's
Yeah.
lovely. Yeah. But the moment when you said that, it made you realize more like the things that you don't want to do, that truly resonated with me. I guess one thing, cause like from my culture, from Malaysia, Asia culture, we tend to have this mindset that we have to be perfect. We have to, things have to be right.
Mhm.
We can't really fail and all that. But as I'm growing up, I realize that whenever we try to do things, it's not about making things perfect. Like when we make all the decisions, they don't have to be all be the right decision,
Mhm.
because it's actually good that they are the wrong decisions and all that, because by making wrong decisions, it made you closer to the
Yeah.
right decision in the end.
100%. And I think also, like, I think it just doesn't work that way anymore, because looking back at, let's say, maybe 50 or 100 years ago, there was literally
Mm,
5 career paths. Like, you had like 5 choices on what to do with your life. And usually you were just doing what your parents were doing because you would take over some business, or it would just be easier to get into that field or something. And now we have such a huge variety of possibilities.
mm,
It's incredible and it is overwhelming. And I think the only way to find out is, by, like, it's just math. Let's say, imagine you're at like a restaurant and they sell ice cream. You're at an ice cream shop
mm.
and you have 3 flavors. Then of course, if you just, go by, okay, what do I like, there's a 1 in 3 chance that you're going to find the one thing that you're going to like. So that's a pretty high
Yes.
chance. I mean, of course, it's not, over 50%, but it's pretty high. But imagine you have 20 flavors. Like,
Mm.
going into it with the goal of finding the one that you like is way less realistic than going into it with the goal of finding out what you don't like, because most probably you're
Yes.
not gonna like most of them. And I think it should be similar with the job choices, to of course go into it with the hope and with the mindset to, find something that you really like, but at the same
Mm.
time not be disappointed and actually take it as a good thing if you find something that you don't like, because it also gets you closer to the goal.
Yes, I really like that. That is amazing. That's a really good saying, and a really right way to present it in a very clear way. I really love that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was not sure if the example makes sense, but you know, in my head it did.
It did, it did. Like you presented it really well. Yeah. But yes, like throughout this journey, from perhaps your university all the way till today when you're working, is there
Mhm.
any point in time that you experience burnout?
I think burnout actually not so much. Like I do
Mm-hmm.
remember sometimes, especially like in ISEC when I was in the national board, where it was a lot, just because there was no balance. It was like just 100%
Oh.
ISEC, which can be overwhelming. I would not
Mm-hmm.
call it burnout though, to be honest, because first of all, I feel like it would kind of take away the experience from people who had actually burnout. Um, and second of all, I think it's like I think it just didn't happen to become a burnout because I truly loved what I was doing. So it was more of a sense of being overwhelmed and being too much into it, and therefore kind of maybe being stressed out or just not having that balance, as I said. Um, but I think burnout in a sense of I truly feel like I cannot do this anymore. And I really need to take a step back in order to stay healthy. I think I've actually never had that. And I truly hope that I never will because of course that's just, you know, really, really sad if that happens to people. And
I
yeah.
see. Okay, that is amazing. Do you have any ways where you try to, actively try to prevent yourself to fall into trap of getting burned out?
hmm I think it's really I'm kind of repeating myself, but really think it's about that balance. And
Mm-hmm.
that cannot always be the solution, I know. And like oftentimes it's also, you know, a topic of like at some point you just have to talk to your employer, let's say, and talk to them about, you know, why is this happening right now and how can we support each other and try to find a solution that works. And that is not overworking me and overstressing me. But I
Mm-hmm.
do feel like if you have kind of a healthy balance, at least mentally, between, you know, your work and doing something physical with your body, probably, because I heard that's healthy. Um, and then maybe having some kind of hobby, but also I think it's important to have a kind of hobby that also stimulates something different in your brain. So, for example, I'm reading a lot. I'm reading a lot of books, and what I'm reading never pretty much never has anything to do with my work because it's just, you know, it needs to be a different topic in your head needs to be able to, you know, get out of its typical rhythm, I guess. But these are very, like, I'm not a doctor, I don't I don't know what I'm talking about. This is just my personal experience. But I think that helped me a lot to always try to, even if it's just 20 minutes, but just every day take some time for yourself to get out of your headspace and to do something where you can really escape, let's say.
I like that. That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, totally agree. Like personally, I love running, and then
hmm
I guess now it's at the point where I can't live without running. Like if I don't
Yeah,
run for a few days, I'll be like I'm like losing something within me and all this. And I do
yeah,
read a lot. Like reading really sometimes it opens up your mind to like really different perspectives and all that. So
yes, for
I
sure.
really truly enjoy that. I like whatever you say. Definitely, I agree with you. We're not doctors, but well, it worked for us. I guess it does at least work for a few people. I guess few more people, I believe.
I think so too. I think so too.
Yeah. Okay. About you, you you currently identify yourself as a non-binary. Can you share more about that? Like, when did you start it and why?
I think it started around, wait, let me think back. Uh, like summer 2022, kind of. I remember
Okay.
that actually on my birthday, I had a really big moment of, okay, I think this is it. I think it's non-binary because there was a long time of me
Mm-hmm.
just being something just not feeling 100% right. And it started with things like, for example, I don't know, let's say I was in the bus and then, I don't know, a mom with her child would come in and then the child would, like, I don't know, accidentally bump against me because the bus ride or something. And the mom would be like, oh, take care to not hit that woman, something like that, you know? And I was like, why does it feel weird if she calls me a woman? You know, it was like these very small moments where it
Mm-hmm.
started, and then just also feeling different ways and different kind of clothings, thinking about how I feel, like how I'm perceived by other people and how that makes me feel. And I was very confused for a couple months, and then I don't know, read more into it. I have always been aware of LGBTQ problem or like topics, I would say. Like I've always tried to, be an ally. And of course, it's a journey and nobody's a perfect ally from the start. But I've always tried to kind of get more into it. I actually wrote my bachelor thesis about discrimination of LGBTQIA plus people at my university and like what the university is doing to prevent discrimination. Um, and I mean, I've also, before I was non-binary, I realized that I'm bisexual. So like I was already kind of in that topic, but I never thought about my personal gender expression because I don't know, how much do you know about like the theoretical part of gender studies, let's say?
I think assume that I know nothing. I
Okay.
think like it'll be amazing to share everything from like the ground, like for the audience as well. I think it'll be
Okay.
a very interesting topic. If you don't mind.
Okay. So I think, yeah, to just get everybody on board on this,
Mm,
usually when we're talking about like gender and sexuality and all of these things, there's like three levels.
mm,
So the first level is your sex, your biological sex, which people think it's male and female, and it is
mm,
actually a line. You have male and female, but there's also every single thing you have in between. Because also that category, let's say, it's splitting into different parts. For example, you have the part of hormones, with testosterone and then you have the level of actual body, like for example, having like a vagina or having a penis or having breasts or not having breasts, like just everything that comes with genitalia, let's say. um and then all of these different things are combining each other to your biological sex. And there can be, for example, people who have a vagina and breasts, but they actually do have pretty high testosterone levels, or maybe the other way around. And oftentimes, people that are not having like that are not clearly male or female biologically, they are called intersex, but it's a bigger spectrum, and I'm really breaking it down right now. And I'm not intersex, so I cannot, there's a lot of things that I obviously also don't know. But that's pretty much, that's the first layer. It's like the biological, just like when you get born and what your body is showing in the medicine, let's say, or in the medical field. Then the next layer you have is the gender expression, which is how you feel. And there you don't just have male and female, but it's actually a spectrum, because you can feel 100% male, you can feel 100% female, but also you can feel as kind of a mixture of both or as nothing around it. Or, sometimes, I don't know, it's kind of like there's some inside jokes, especially in the non-binary community, where, sometimes it's like, today I just feel like a little frog that is sitting next to the pond eating its fly. It's like, yes, that's my gender. It's my gender identity today. And it doesn't make much sense, I think,
mm,
but somehow it just feels right. So,
mm,
and the interesting thing is that you combine those to an incredible amount. And the
mm,
difference is that the biological thing, it's fixed. And I mean, there are operations and hormonal therapy, but like, let's say if you don't take steps, it's going to be fixed and it's going to stay the same. But
mm,
the gender identity can literally change from day to day or from year to year, and you can always identify as something different. I mean, like, I definitely grew up as a girl and as a woman, and I used to identify as a girl and as a woman 100%.
mm,
But that just shifted at some point, and I'm also open to maybe it's going to shift back to female, or maybe at some point I'm going to identify as male. Who knows? I don't know. Um, and then you have the third layer, which is the sexual orientation, which then is about who you are attracted to. And there again, also it's a spectrum, because you can be attracted to male or female or both or neither or everything that is in between, or have something completely different that is attractive to you or that you identify with. And all of these three things can be combined with each other, and that's why there are so many different identities within the LGBTQI community. And it's just really, really cool that it's getting more and more studied and more things are coming up, like scientifically, but also personally
mm,
for people. There are a lot of people who are now realizing that the way that they feel is not something weird or something that is, I don't know, wrong with them, but they realize that
mm,
it's just something that they haven't heard of before because it was not studied before and it was not widely known before. And I think that's something really
mm,
cool. So to get back to your original question, yeah, so I was born 100% female. And then a couple of years ago, I realized that I'm bisexual, or like actually pansexual at this point. Um, and then in 2022, I kind of realized that, okay, I think I'm having at least non-binary tendencies, let's say, or I don't feel 100% female anymore. And that's kind of from where it was going. But it truly took off, let's say, this year, because moving to Prague allowed me to kind of reinvent myself, let's say, or step into that new identity that I really also want to show to the outside world. And I think it's going pretty good so far, and I'm very excited to see where that journey is still taking me, because it's for sure not over. Um, but yeah, so I'm actually also kind of new to this, you know?
I see. Okay, okay. That's amazing. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Honestly, because like you're the first non-binary guest on this podcast, and then it's something that I really love to learn as well. You sharing the whole gender study thing. Honestly, most of it I've never learned before, but now it really made me
Mhm.
a lot more interested in understanding it, like the different levels and all that. And when you talk about that part where, sometimes when we doesn't feel right, but those feelings should be validated, I totally resonate with that. Because recently, not recently, I guess it's been like 2 months. Yeah, it's no longer that recent. I started therapy, and
Mhm.
then like with my therapy as well, with my therapist as well, she has told me that many of the feelings are sometimes when people say that, you might, that feeling you might have is wrong and all that. And
Mhm.
most of the time, just because of most other people say that it's wrong, it doesn't mean that they are right.
Yeah.
It still can be very likely that we should still validate those feelings, and then those feelings are not wrong at all. Those are normal.
100%.
We,
Yes.
yeah.
And I think also something that is often used as a phrase is also this part of, oh, it's just a phase, and I don't know, you will get over it or something like that. And I think that's always so
Mm.
interesting to me because, I mean, first of all, for most people, it's not a phase. I think we're aware of that.
Yes.
But also, second of all, even if it is a phase, it
Mm.
is true within that phase. You know what I mean? Like, for example,
Yes.
even let's say if you're in a relationship, and you break up of that relationship after like 3 years, nobody is gonna tell you that that whole relationship was fake and you were never in love with that person and everything was screwed up.
Mm.
No, it was real in that moment. Just because it changed after a while doesn't mean it was not real in that moment. And I think that's true for so many things that people don't realize that, even if at some point I want to, I don't know, change back my name or something like that, then it's still like,
Mm.
okay, but I still felt like it was the right thing to do in that moment.
Mm. I totally agree with that. So funny, like when you mentioned the relationship thing, because like one of the most recent conversation about this, like validating this
Mhm.
feeling that I have. So like, oh, this is something new for this podcast as well. Very funny. So like, I'm sharing this the first time here publicly. So most recently, I I got into a serious relationship with a girl, and then but a week later, she ended it. So I was kind of like thinking that, in this case, it's not really a relationship, it's more like a situationship. But then my therapist told me that, you don't have to just label it that way, because most people would say that it should be labeled that way. If you think it is a relationship, it is a relationship. There is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And that really definitely gave me a lot of comfort. But yeah, more about this story will be coming out in the actually the episode after this episode, which
Oh,
I'll be
okay.
sharing about my whole dating stories in London.
So
Yeah.
stay tuned, everybody.
Yes, 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 indeed. Indeed. Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing about all that. What would you say that how can everyone do better to support the LGBTQ community?
That is a really good question. Um, I think first of all, I mean, of course, it's always great if people educate themselves, but I also understand that not everybody can be educated about every single thing. Like that's just impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, of course, it's great if people take that active step, but I think even more important is to just stay open to it. So even if you don't know anything about it, but then you meet someone who maybe for them it's an important topic or they know a lot about it, just stay open to have that conversation and to learn from that person in that moment. I think that's a really important one. I think some small things that would increase at least like visibility and stuff is, for example, sharing your pronouns when you introduce yourself to someone, because then it's also easier for that person to share their pronouns because they see, okay, this is not a person who doesn't believe in pronouns, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But they actually understand the concept of grammar and they understand how
Mm.
this works. And I think that's something really, really small, but I think it's something small that can give LGBTQ people a lot of comfort, because even, for example, people that are not non-binary, or people that are, you know, in within the binary, but they
Mm.
are LGBTQ, part of the LGBTQ community. I think if you see that little something, like that little question, by the way, you know, just saying like, hey, my name is Andrew and my pronouns are he, him, like something that small already shows me that you are aware of these kind of topics, at least a little bit. So I don't need to be afraid to be myself around you, no matter who I am. So I think that's something really, really small that would be amazing if more people would do it. But I think apart from that, just really just staying open to the conversation and trying to understand. But I think that's true for like all of the topics when we're talking about minorities and, you know, different perspectives and all of these things.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I'll definitely try to do more of that in the future. Because like, yeah, something that I never thought of as well. Like such a small action that will actually give so much
Mhm.
comfort for
Yeah,
like
and like,
the community.
you know, also having it in your email signature or these kind of things. But for example, even I don't do it. Like, I don't introduce myself as, hi, I'm Ty, my pronouns are they, them, just because I don't know how the other person is going to react to it, right? So it's also like, you know, so it's easier if the person who doesn't have to fear discrimination is taking that first step. So then the other
Mm.
person can follow that step, if that makes sense.
I see. Okay. Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So for this, like I would say, this whole journey, whether it's like your studies, your work, or like even your transition into non-binary, what role did your friends and family play within this?
Mm. I think very different roles, and also very different for each of the things. I have amazing friends. I'm really, really grateful for those that have supported me all of the way in every situation, no matter university, work, or my gender identity. I'm actually really, really grateful for my current workplace, because they have, as I mentioned before, they have amazing LGBTQ plus including policies that really make it way more easy to be who I want to be at work. So that's already a good thing. And then actually, a couple of months ago, I came out to my family for the first time. That was interesting for sure.
Okay.
And it's still kind of a conversation, and it's a conversation that probably is never going to be over. But they do support me, and they do at least try to understand, and you know, try to be there. And it's really a big weight that is lifted off my shoulders after doing it. So I can just literally, if anybody is listening who is LGBTQ, I know it's hard and I know it's scary, but it's not gonna go away, and it's not gonna get easier at any point of your life. So just do it now, and then turn off your phone. That's what I did. And then just
Okay,
wait
okay.
a couple of hours until you feel in the space where you can confront it. But I truly think that it takes away a lot of the pressure. And it's a great feeling to be able to be yourself and to feel supported during that journey, or at least not held back, and to not feel like you need to hide yourself anymore. Um, I think in my professional career, my parents are they're very chill, you know, because
Okay.
I have an older sister, and she's the child that anybody could want and anybody could wish for, you know, always had amazing grades.
I think I understand you, yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, had like this amazing journey of directly after university, finding a job, blah blah blah. She's married, she has 2 children. So like, she's living that magazine life kind of. And I'm incredibly happy for her that
Mm.
she has found that. And I'm incredibly happy for her, because it also means that I don't have to have that. Because my parents have something to focus on, let's say, you know. And then I'm
Mm.
just in the background doing whatever I want, kind of, and living my adventures, and confusing, and, you know, never doing the same thing again kind of life. Very happy that I can do that, and then my parents do support that, and they're just, you know, very chill in a sense of, okay, sure, move to Prague, why not?
That is
I mean,
amazing.
I think they know that they would not be able to stop me, but it's good to know that they are not even trying to stop me. So I'm for sure also very lucky in that.
Yes, I totally understand that. Like yeah, my family as well. I'm very thankful. Like so,
Mhm.
actually, my mom passed away earlier this year, so that's something unfortunate. But um, definitely, I understand that my dad is back in Malaysia, and then my sister might be when she's studying, she might be going abroad, and then after that, perhaps she might just stay somewhere else forever. And same for me,
Mm-hmm.
like now I'm staying in London. I really love London, and if nothing changes, I might just stay here for the rest of my life. And
Yeah.
understanding my dad is over there, and I know it's important that if I can be close with him, but I also understand it's important for me to live a life that I do enjoy as well. So I'm glad that I am able to have this conversation with my dad as well, talking about how, like, personally, like I was telling him personally, I really love living overseas in London,
Mm-hmm.
and but I do want to make sure that you're safe as like safe and healthy and all that as well. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to force you to come over to London with me, because
Yeah.
I understand that you have great friends in Malaysia. You have lived there like all your life. It's where you feel comfortable and all that. But definitely, what I can try to do is that I'll visit you every year, visit you
Mm-hmm.
every year, like meet you, and then definitely if we can organize trips together every year, that would be amazing. We can find a middle ground and all that, just to make sure that both of our needs get satisfied and all that.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
you the first person from your family that moved out of the country, let's say?
Actually, yes. Actually, yes.
Wow.
Like, yeah, so it is quite a new thing as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
my whole family, cause like, well, I guess I can say that my grandpa is the first one, but it's a bit different. Like my grandpa is from China. He
Mm-hmm.
kind of, it's not really move. It's just that when he's growing up, China is in a very bad economic situation. That he had no choice, and he have to kind of like move to Malaysia. It's not really slavery, but we call it a pig butchering scam, where they
Okay.
just like kind of, you get on the boat, and then you kind of got dropped off and Malaysia, and then you just start working there, and then he just started his life there. And so that's how it works. And then yeah, like for, I think I'm the third generation, so until me, like everyone have just stayed in Malaysia. Like I think my aunt and all that, they did study overseas, but they never moved overseas. And then I'm the first that actually lived overseas, like for many years. And then I
Mhm.
realized how different it has been. Yeah.
That's really cool though. And scary
Yeah.
to be the first one.
Yes, it is. Like there's so many things that you don't know, and but like I think it's, so there's this meme or something that I saw online or something, like right now I'm just being that random uncle that my like nephews will next time talk about, like, oh, that random uncle that's like living overseas and then just coming back once a year. I was like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'm the first uncle that's doing that. But it's quite cool to be that uncle. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know if you can
Mm.
relate, but for me it's also this. I mean, it's also it's not my first time living abroad for a longer time,
Mm.
but it's my first time living abroad as an actual adult, let's say. Because like, I mean, I did like a gap year after high school, but I think it's different because you know that it's only for a certain time, and like, everything is settled, like your health insurance and everything. Like you don't need to worry about anything. Like you're still officially German. You're just, being somewhere for a couple of time, or like for some time. Now I'm actually, I signed off of Germany. Like I mean, I'm still German, obviously, but like I'm not like I'm officially not living in that country anymore.
Mm.
And I think a lot of times I really miss being able to just call my mom and ask her how to do things, because it's like, because she cannot help me, obviously, because she also, she's never lived in Czech Republic. But it's like, it really makes you have to grow up faster, I think, faster than I would like to, because I'm like, I don't want to take care of those problems. Those are adult problems. I'm not an adult. I'm just a little baby,
Yeah, like when your heater it's not working. Now you have to find ways
Exactly.
to do it, fix it yourself. Find someone to fix it yourself or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's I mean, of course, it's like even harder if maybe you don't speak the language of the country or you don't know anybody there. But yeah, it's crazy to do something like that and to do it for the first time and braveness to you, I would say.
To both of us
And
actually.
congratulations to both of us.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. I really like that. Besides not being able to call your mom and perhaps fixing the heater, what would you say is the biggest struggle for like moving overseas, living a life overseas?
I think to be honest, definitely the bureaucracy. Like that one really took me out. I'm actually okay, okay. I'm just assuming that Czech authorities are not going to listen to this podcast, but like I'm still not officially registered in Czech Republic. Like they know that I live here, like even the contract of the flat is on my name and stuff, but I'm not officially a like citizen of Prague, I guess. I started the process and it just got way too frustrating and then I just stopped. um,
Oh, okay.
I think
I
if I
get
would,
what you mean.
yeah, and I think if I would plan to live here for like, a couple of years at least, then I would probably do it. But I'm planning to live here maybe like for 1 or 1.5 years. And I think for that, to be honest, it's not worth it. Like I was so frustrated at some point. I was like, no, I really cannot do this anymore at this point. Um, so, and I think that's something where I would really like to at least speak the language. I think that would already make it easier. But if that like that's just I realize that it's a really really important part to be able to speak the language of the country, and that might sound very obvious, but I think I didn't realize how big of a difference it makes, especially for those official things and those legal things and all of that stuff. But apart from that, I think I'm doing okay-ish. Yeah. I think I'm kind of doing okay at this adult thing and living abroad thing, and I'm truly enjoying it. And I think it's also teaching you a lot, and making you step out of your comfort zone and finding a whole new social circle, which is just crazy to do at, our
Yeah.
age. I'm like, how do you make friends? But
Mhm.
no, I think it's a really, really cool experience, and I really treasure all of the experiences I'm making here and all of the learnings I'm getting.
I see. Would you recommend anyone to just move to a new country?
Probably not anyone, because I do
Okay.
realize that not everybody is made for it, let's say.
Okay.
But I do think, like, I don't know, I've always truly believed that traveling and being in a different country, in a different setting, surrounded by people you
Hmm.
don't know and who, have a different culture than you, is really, really important for your personal development, which is also why I started working for ISEC, because that's what we do. That's our main thing, is like, exchange and cultural exchange.
Hmm.
Um, so I would definitely recommend it to anyone. If you have the possibility to go abroad, may it be for, 4 weeks or for 4 months or for 4 years.
Hmm.
Either way, I think it can always teach you something. So I would definitely recommend it. I'm also not done. Like I'm definitely gonna move to a new country after this one. And I'm just really excited to, actually be that person in the family where everybody is like, where are they now? Actually, like, where do they live now? Like, did they already change again? And to be that kind of person. And then when my nieces grow up, I could be like, yeah, of course you can visit me in my cool flat in Paris. Like, no problem. Being that person in the family, I think I'm very excited to fit that JD in that description.
That is absolutely true. Like personally for me, I would love to be someone like that as well. Like, yeah, I'm so happy as well about myself because like that's just well, I actually moving down to London is a new thing as well. I just moved down 3 months ago, and then there's just been
Mhm.
so much stuff happening that like whenever I meet my friend again, like that's from Nottingham, there's so much things I can tell. It's like yeah, like my life has just became so different. Like even this time, like I'm actually traveling back to Malaysia, in 2 weeks time. Oh my god, in 2 weeks time.
Mhm.
No, next week, not 2 weeks time. Next week, I'm traveling back. So even this time, traveling back, I would have so other than my dad and my sister, which we call very often. Other than them, like all the other people, I have so much stuff to talk about because like yeah, so many things
Mhm.
have happened just because living overseas, all these new experiences, which is absolutely amazing. And yeah, I already start telling my friends, like whenever you're in London, hit me up. I can find you a bit to stay, and then definitely I can bring you around.
I would love that. I would honestly love that. I haven't been to London in like over
Hmm?
10 years, so I would definitely love that. Fuck Brexit, to be honest.
Yes.
If it wouldn't be for Brexit, probably England would be the next country for me to move to, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, same for us as well. Now, it's not that flexible for us to, just work like a lot in a lot more places.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
totally.
we would have a lot more choices. Unfortunately, that really sucks. Yeah, yeah. But yes, right now, are you in a relationship?
I am not. I have
Hmm.
been dating since I got to Prague.
Oh,
Like, yeah, I've been in the dating game, but very
okay.
inconsistently. When you're like, when you're just on a random Saturday and you're like, oh, I would love to get to know new people, and then you're like, I don't know, on the dating apps again, and you're like swiping for like half an hour, and you get like some matches, and you start to talk to some people, and then
Hmm.
a week later, you're like, actually, I don't want to meet anybody. Kind of like for me, it's
I
always
see. I see.
it really comes in waves. And I've realized that, I mean, right now a relationship wouldn't make sense for me because I do feel like I would not be ready for that kind of commitment right now, in a sense of I'm not ready to make any compromises. And I also would not want the other person to, throw up their whole life and just follow me wherever I go.
Hmm.
But I think I'm just not in a place where I would be happy in a relationship and where the other person would be happy and where we would be
Hmm.
able to have a healthy relationship. Just because I
Hmm.
have no idea where I'm going to be in 6 months, let's say.
I see.
Um, but I do enjoy this kind of, like just flirting and dating and getting to know new people with the intention of maybe it becoming more, or at least,
Hmm.
being a little bit flirtatious, let's say. I think
Hmm.
that's something that is really fun, but also definitely scary. And I think it's a great way to, put yourself outside of your comfort zone and to just try something where you really need to, yeah, think about, okay, how am I doing this? And also getting nervous again before a first date and like all of these things. I think it's just a great experience of adult life.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Can you? Oh, before I share like what I'd love to share, can you share more about like what's the scary part that you think?
I think the scary part is, I mean, of course, it's always this part of like, okay, will the other person like me? You know?
Okay.
And I think it's different for when you're, because I've been on a lot of dating apps actually since I came to Prague, but also to find friends.
Hmm.
Like some of the dating apps I'm on for like exclusive dating, and some of them I'm on for just finding friends. And when you meet
Hmm.
someone that is a potential friend, I think it's a different feeling because you're like, okay, here it's like I'm gonna show them just my true self, and then I see if they like me or not, or if we're vibing or not. But I feel like it's more of a I don't need to impress the person. I just want to vibe with them. And I think with dating, it should be the same, but somehow in my head it's not. And I'm like, okay, it's not just about vibing. I also need to kind of make an extra good expression or impression. Um, and I think that's the scary part, to just, and also to throw yourself out there and maybe get rejected. And
Hmm.
then also oftentimes not knowing why, because oftentimes, it's just ghosting or whatever in the end. Also from my side, I have to be honest there. I'm not the best person for that too. Um, but I do think it can be a little bit scary, but in a fun
Yes.
way, I think, most of the times.
Yes. Absolutely. So yeah, like I mean I'm on dating app as well. I think you watched the Victoria's episode, and then I was
Yes.
talking a lot about that. Yeah, like I think this whole dating app thing is very new to me as well. Actually, I just started using it this year, and then especially used a lot more since I came down to London, because like
Mhm.
oh my god, there's so many more fishes. The
Uh-huh.
fishes in the sea. I was like, yeah, yeah. So it's it's amazing. And then definitely like the reason why the next episode will be about my online dating life in London is because I have just genuinely learned so much about it, learned so much about myself or about dating and all that. So I think it's really an interesting thing to share
Mhm.
about in a podcast. Yeah, definitely, I agree with what you say. It is fun and scary at the same time. And then, in fact, like most recently, like the experience I just talked about, I entered a serious relationship, and then she ended it a week later. Honestly, that actually it's so funny. Like, oh my god, I'm actually reviewing one of the fun story that's coming next week. So, like the moment when I was actually just updating another friend of mine, which I haven't met for like a month, about my new relationship status. And
Uh-huh.
then after that, after I met him, I was like go heading back on the train. She sent me the message ending the relationship. I was like, what? I was just updating my friend. And then
Oh,
what's worse is that that night I was like, I'm supposed to, because like I am part of this career program where they will just like send in new jobs every 2 weeks, and then
mhm.
you have to, when they after they send in, you have to apply them by Sunday midnight. And as another normal person, that I would just always delay and then put it to the last minute, and then that day is Sunday. I was like, oh my god, like I called my friend talking about this issue, but then I was like, yeah, I'll definitely spend time processing my feelings later. But right now
Mhm.
I need to apply this job. I need to apply all these
Mhm.
jobs before midnight, so I have to apply all that, and then then after that I process my feeling. I gave myself a whole day to, just relax, process my feeling, feel sad and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the reason why I am actually quite happy of why I am that sad is because, I mean, the reason why I'm that sad is that it is something new to me. It is a
Mhm.
very foreign feeling to me. So it means that I am actually doing something new. I'm putting myself out in the comfort zone, getting rejected and all this kind
Yeah.
of stuff. It sucks. Getting rejected sucks. No one wants to get rejected, honestly.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it is part of life. And then I'm glad that I put myself out there and then I experienced this. That's why it's that the feeling sucks, but it means that I am growing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, 100%. That is so important. I think it's so important to realize that growth usually means something negative is happening too, or something that feels negative in that moment, because
Mm.
otherwise you would not be growing. Like, if you're not expanding yourself in any direction, then you cannot grow. And usually when you expand yourself, it
Yes.
also hurts in some kind of way. So it's like,
Yes.
yeah, for sure, for
You
sure. It's a very,
you
very
hit the wall
important
sometimes
thought.
and all that, and then,
Exactly.
but it's okay. You hit it and then you learn not to hit it the next time.
And also, I mean, I always think like you need to make mistakes in order to learn something. If you don't make mistakes, then that means that you
Mm.
did not learn anything new. You know what I mean? So,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, this is, I mean, I was very, how, not anti this, but like previously, because of my culture, getting mistake would mean like a very big thing to me. I was like, oh no, I messed something up. I was like, oh, I'm dying and all that, like, because I messed this thing up. But now it's just like, no, it's fine.
Mhm.
As long as you learn from your mistakes, it's actually amazing. That is really good.
Yeah, for sure. And I think generally this, thinking to yourself, it's fine. We need to do that way more often because most of the times it is so fine. Like there is so little things that you can actually do in your life where afterwards it's not fine. You know what I mean? Like as long as you're not doing something illegal, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, there's always ways to solve it. We can talk through
Exactly.
it. Like people are generally okay and all that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Now, at this age, have you suffered or are you suffering quarter life crisis?
Ooh, good question. I mean, I'm 26, so I would be
Hmm?
right in there, I guess.
Yes.
Which is crazy because wait, quarter life would mean that I get 100 years old. I don't want to be 100 years old, but okay. Um, but
Okay.
that thought aside,
Mhm.
I think, I think I do. I think I do.
Mhm.
I think I do, but it does not feel like a crisis, to be honest. It feels more like adventure. I feel like I'm in my quarter life adventure. I think
That's
I've
good.
had an actual crisis before, like in when I was 23. So in 2021, when I finished my bachelor's, I was super lost. I was incredibly lost. It was also like it was just a really weird summer because I finished my bachelor's. I knew that I
Mhm.
would move away from the city that I have lived in for like 4 years, where I had most of my friends and everything.
Mhm.
So I knew, but I knew that I wanted something new. So, but it was this feeling of leaving something big behind, closing this big
Mhm.
chapter of studying. I also ended my relationship in that summer because we were moving to different cities and we just knew that it would not, or we just didn't want to, take the risk of it not working out.
Okay.
Um, and so it was like there was a lot of things happening. And then also, coming right out of COVID, having, all of these things to still work on and to struggle with. Um, and I think I was really, really sad in a lot of moments, or like not even sad in a sense of sad, but more like sad in a sense of frustrated.
Mm.
Um, and at some point I was really like, I have no fucking clue what I'm gonna do. And it made me realize that it's okay, it's fine to feel that way. And what I also mentioned before, sometimes you just need to take a step back and think about, okay, what do I want to do right now in this moment? And then just do what you want to do in that right moment. So what I did in that moment was actually, that's actually a part that we did not talk about, is that when I
Okay.
moved, after my study time in Braunschweig, I moved to Berlin, where I did
Mm.
the music teacher for early education. But at the same time in Berlin, I also did kind of, uh, let's say I visited a school for like speakers, like,
Okay.
like dubbing and speaking in movies or speaking news or speaking in advertisement, all of these kind of things, or speaking like books. How do you call them? Listening? You don't call them listening books. You know what I mean?
Audiobooks.
Audiobooks.
Audiobooks. Yeah.
Listening books. But yeah, audiobooks. So all of these things.
Mm.
And I started going to school to become that kind of, because
Mm.
I don't know why, but in that moment, I was really feeling like, okay, what are all of the different options that I have? And what is something that, like, I'm always trying to think about what is something that I can only do now and that I might not have the possibility to do again later. And in that moment,
Okay.
I felt like, okay, I also know that I would love to have a great job right now, but I can always have a great job again. But once I have a great job, I'm probably not going to do this school for speakers again. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
that's usually how I try to take my decisions. And I did it in that moment, and in the end, I only did one semester, and then I moved to Bonn to take the job in ISEC. So it was just like a little stopover, but that stopover
Mm.
taught me a lot about it's okay to not know what you want and to just do what you want to do in that moment.
Mm.
And I think that's something that I'm living by since then, because I mean, I still don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I have one idea in my head that I would love to do at some point, but I also know that I don't want to do it now because I feel like I would not be ready for it now and it would not fit my current lifestyle.
Mm.
So for now, I'm just doing whatever opens up as opportunities in that moment and just trying to say yes to, something that feels good in my gut and just trying to go with my gut feeling. Yeah.
That's good. And I really love how you frame it as quarter life adventure. That is really good. And yeah, like I guess like earlier when you asked me about my job searching and all that, honestly,
Mhm.
recently I am not putting much effort into the job search because like I really feel more attracted to whatever I'm doing now, whether it's the podcast, whether it's like the Notion thing, or whether it's like just making
Mhm.
reels that I thought of. I was like, I feel like I mean, the job is good, there's money, stable, and all that. But then I was like, there's something so more attractive about this thing that's like I would like rather than putting more of my effort into a job search. I just feel like if I put more effort into all these babies that I actually thought of myself, they might actually turn out better. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's definitely something I'm still processing. I'm still doing job search, but I think right now I'm trying to find the right minimal balance, minimal effort that would be effort, but then it wouldn't take draw too much energy from me away from all these things as well. Wow. Yeah, so
Yeah. And I think we also need to give ourselves space to fail. Like, I mean, I did not know what was going to happen when I moved here. It could have been a total
mm,
disaster of me, not finding any friends, hating my job, thinking that Czech Republic is horrible, and just, having the worst time of my life. But if you don't take the chance, if you don't give your chance to, like, if you don't give yourself the chance to fail, you also don't give yourself the chance to win. And I think that's just really, really important to just, go for it, even if it's scary and even if you don't know what's going to come out of it. And also realizing that even if you fail, you still have so much time to put it right and you still have so much time to get on the right path. So why not go down a wrong path for a little while? Or it's not even a wrong path, it's just like a little, go through the woods for
yeah.
once and don't stay on the actual trail, but just wander around a little bit before you get back on the actual trail, because you might discover something amazing and maybe your trail just changes completely.
Yeah, and usually whatever even if you go on the wrong path, an absolute terrible wrong path that you actually have to turn back and spend time recovering from it, you actually learn so much from that
Mm-hmm.
walking on that path as well. All the experience which will still be applicable when eventually you find the right path. Or actually
Exactly.
by like all the experience will actually slowly brings you back to the right path.
100%. I mean, everything that you
Mm.
experience makes you you. So it's like it's impossible to know who you would be without that particular experience, for example, let's say.
Mm.
But also I don't even really want to know because, it's okay where I am right now. It's okay. It's good. And I'm excited to see where it's
Mm.
going to take me. And
Mm.
just I think people need to take a lot more decisions from the gut. I truly believe that, and think less with their heads, but more with their hearts. And just think about what feels good for you right now in that moment, and realize that it's okay if it feels good in that moment and it turns out to not have been the right choice. You can still take the other choice. There are very, very, very little things in life that only cross your path once. You know what I mean? Like usually that job, or at least a similar job, is also going to be there next year. Or, university also starts again in a year. Or, China is not suddenly gonna drown and vanish as a country. You can still visit it in half a year. You can still do that. And I think just
Mm.
realizing that you do have time to take those things, and you just need to think about, what do I want to do right now in this moment? Because also, let's say it is the right choice or the right path, but what if you don't enjoy it in that moment? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Why would you do something that you think is right even though you don't enjoy doing it?
Mm. Yeah, there must be a reason, a very good reason
Yeah.
that pulled you to it.
Exactly. And I think joy, for me, joy is always the most important reason. And I mean, I know that I'm very, very privileged to be able to say, that money is not my biggest priority, because I know people that have to put money as their first priority. And I'm very, very privileged to say that I don't need to have that, because I always, worst case, I can always move back in with my parents and just stay there for unlimited amount of
Mm.
time, until they kick me out, probably. Um, and I'm very, very privileged to be able to say that. But for me personally, joy is my highest priority in life. And joy is not decided by, like, I cannot decide now what I will be enjoying in half a year, because I'm going to be a different person in half a year. And that's why I try to take joyous decisions in the moments when they are needed.
That is amazing. I love that. I totally agree with this joy part as well. I feel like with joy, like when doing, especially doing things with joy, doing things that brings you
Mhm.
joy actually makes you do that thing a lot better as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what else is the point of life?
Exactly. Yeah. But I think previously that's something else that I totally agree with you as well. Yeah, like the part where you say like many things are when like we shouldn't really let go of this opportunity that whatever our gut feeling tells us, because like schools and all this, many things in life are always repeated year by year, and then you won't be missing out on that. Like, but this opportunity could be just like once in a lifetime, and then sometimes we should really just act on it.
Exactly. I totally
Yeah,
agree.
amazing. I totally love that. I remember that you mentioned that you still don't really know like what's the really one thing that you want to do, but just wondering like do you happen to have like a pursuit in life that you want to work towards?
Um, I would really like to feel like I'm doing something that is somehow making the world a better place,
Hmm.
and not just while I'm doing it, but like in the long term. And
Okay.
I've been thinking about this a lot, because what I really like about Isaac is that it's, what I mentioned before, this ripple effect. It's not just, you're not just impacting the one person, but that person is going to impact the next person, the next person, the next person. And I really, really like that feeling. And like one life dream that I have, kind of like the thing that I mentioned, that I know it's not what I'm going to do now, but something that I'm hoping to maybe do in like 10 years or 20 years, is that I would love, I'm not 100% sure how it's going to work out, but
Mm.
I would love to have kind of an open house for young people, like children and teenagers who are maybe passionate about a specific topic, but they don't know how to make their voices heard. and then having this open house where they can come and they can do different things to bring their message that they think is really important and other people should hear it, to bring it across. So for example, it can be simple things like a crafting, room where they can just make a poster to go to the next demonstration and do that. Or it can be something even bigger where maybe I am partnering with some media firm and then they are helping us, or like they are donating us like one billboard and in the city, and then like some person can decide what is going to be on that billboard to just bring a message across. Because I always feel like so many amazing things started because of one person taking a stand and like making their voice heard. And I'm always thinking, let's say, for example, Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg has started one of the biggest movements in human history, and like one of the biggest youth movements for sure, which is incredible. The things that she has achieved in her age is just unbelievable. And I'm always thinking that, she was just one girl with literally one poster and one marker. And imagine there must be so many Greta Thunbergs out there. Like I'm always thinking there must be so many children and young people out there who do have a message or who do have something that they feel super passionate about. They just don't know how to make their voice heard. And I would love to be that amplifier and to help them get their voices heard and to get more young voices out into society, because they are the future. They are the people that always bring the change. There was rarely moments where a 70-year-old person brought a change. It's usually the young
Yeah.
people, because they are the people that are also going to implement that change. And
They
I
still
mean,
have a
I don't
life
know.
ahead of them where they can like
Exactly, and
do a
they
lot of
see how it is
things.
right now, and they see how it can still change. If you've lived too long in a certain type of mindset or in a certain society, then you're not going to see anymore that it has the potential to change. You can only see that if you go into it with a fresh mind. And that's something that's like a life dream for sure, something that I would love to do. And yeah, I don't have a concrete concept for it right now, but I think that would be really, really great.
But it sounds
Mhm.
amazing. I really like the whole concept of it. I mean, we don't need to have a concrete plan. Like all these
Mhm.
things, like all businesses doesn't start with a concrete plan. Like businesses fail and all that, then slowly found its way
True.
to make things work. But it is mainly the idea and then like how passionate you are towards it that would actually make it work. And I believe definitely one day you'll do that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really
Yeah.
kind to say. Yeah, I think so too, at some point.
Mm. Okay, right now we have to have a turn, and then I wonder what is your recent biggest struggle?
My most recent struggle.
Mm.
Hmm, that's a good question. I think actually right now, you know what? Actually, I think right now my biggest struggle is my energy management.
Oh.
I think, yeah, because I truly like the last weekends I had something planned. I was actually calculating, I had something planned for the last 6 weekends. I was always somewhere, or I had visitors.
Mm.
So I was surrounded by people basically 24/7, and it's gonna stay like that also actually this weekend. So next weekend is gonna be the first time in 7 weeks that I have nothing planned, that I have, 100% time to focus on myself. Um, and I realized that because I'm a very extroverted person, so I'm getting energy from being around people. And I always realize that again, that in moments where I do feel kind of down, if I'm surrounded by amazing people who do give me energy, then I also get energy from that, and then I feel good again. But I also do realize that I'm starting to become a person that also needs those moments alone, you know? And trying to have this healthy balance of also still trying to eat well and take time to do maybe some sports and to sleep at least 8 hours a night, because I need that. And it's a struggle. I'm definitely not doing that right now, and I can, in some moments I can feel the strain of that more than in others. But I think that's actually one of my biggest struggles right now, to really learn how to keep my energy in check, and how to also how to say no to people, when it's like, oh, do you want to do something that weekend, to be like, actually no, I really, even though I really want to see you, I really want to do something, but I know that I cannot or I should not.
Mm.
I think that's something that I'm learning right now.
I totally get you. Yeah, yeah. Like especially the saying no part. Sometimes it's really hard. Like your heart tells you to do it, but then like, yeah, maybe it would like I have to sacrifice my sleep and all that. Probably it's not the best idea and all that. Yeah, I
Mhm.
totally understand what you mean. Wow. Okay. Interesting. And I believe definitely you find a way to do that. Yeah, I think you're on the right path. I mean, being aware of it is a really good beginning. Yeah,
Right? It's a good
that's the
first
most
step. I
important
think so
thing.
too.
Yes. But yes, now that we talk about struggles, let's talk about something happy. What's the one thing that you love about yourself?
The one thing I'm what? Sorry?
You love about yourself.
The one thing I love, oh my God, the one thing I love about myself.
Yeah.
Wow. I haven't thought about that in a long time, and I think it's something that we should think about more often.
Yes, yes, yes.
Um,
Sometimes I feel like many people were just too critical about ourselves that we
100%.
forget to love, like not love ourselves, but like we have beauties as well. We forget to focus about on those beauties.
Definitely. And I was actually talking about this with some friends on the weekend that I was visiting about, imagine you would ask that another person. Like imagine a friend would ask me, what do you love most about me? I would be able to
Mm,
tell them like 5 things within 5 seconds, you know what I mean? But it's just like so hard to think about that for yourself. Or also, you're so much more critical with yourself than you would be with your best friend. And it's like, why are you not treating yourself like you would be your best friend, because you truly are. You are the person that knows
mm,
yourself best. You have been through all of it with yourself together, and you should, give
mm.
yourself some show yourself some appreciation for that. And I think we really should think about those positive things more and really treat ourselves more like we would treat our best friends.
Yes, absolutely.
For sure. I
Yeah.
think okay. What I love most about myself. I think I think one of the things is for sure that I'm trying, or I'm mostly able to take something positive out of most things and to keep a positive attitude, let's say, towards, I don't know, towards specific situations, but also towards life, and to try to stay helpful. And I mean, there are days where it's harder. I mean, like, like that week where we had Trump winning, and I don't know, everything that is also happening. And there are days where I also definitely feel like, okay, this is all just, there's no sense in anything.
Mm.
Um, but then maybe 1 hour later, I'm with friends and I'm again like the happiest I've ever been. And I think I'm really, maybe it's not even something that I love so much about myself, but it's something that I'm more like grateful for, that I am able, or that my body, my brain, I don't know, is able to do those switches and to put things into perspective of like, yes, maybe a lot of things are shit, but also a lot of things are really, really great.
Mm.
And to try to see that positivity in any situation. Yeah.
I love that. That is good. Yeah, like I totally like what you have said, and then I feel like even for myself, I'm quite happy that I have that as well. I think I might steal like what you love about yourself for myself as well. Now that I realize that, because I
Mhm.
think even during those, my experience was that during the most recent breakup, I guess, like the
Mhm.
when she ended the relationship, and then I was like, yeah, like definitely I was really sad, but and because like up to that point, like from I moved down to London up to that point, like everything have been going so well, so definitely in it within myself, I was so worried that like something bad would happen. And then I guess I considered that something bad that happened. But at that point in time, I was glad that I still had this idea in my head telling myself like, yeah, like telling myself basically like, Andrew, I know right now it's a tough time for you. I'm not forcing you to
Mhm.
see things positively and all this, but definitely it's important to know that this case scenario doesn't show that because good
Mhm.
thing happens and then bad things will definitely happen, but it
Yeah.
just means that it is life is like this. There are good things and bad things happening constantly. This is part of life. And I was so surprised. I was genuinely so surprised by myself. I was like, wow, Andrew, like, well done. You are, of course, you don't have to force yourself to think that way, but I am really glad that you have that thought in your mind. Something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
So
It's
yeah.
like, it's
Mm,
as you say, like things are gonna happen anyways. Like there is good things and bad things happening every day. The only difference
mm,
is that like you cannot influence if these things are happening, but you can influence how they are influencing you and what you make out of them and how you take them for yourself and how you take them forward and what you make out of them. And I think
Mm.
that's something really, really important to realize, and to realize that, no matter what happens, you will always be able to find joy again in something. Um, and
That
there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, let's say. And to try to keep that attitude no matter what happens.
mm, absolutely. That is really beautiful words. I really love that. Yeah. So we're closing to the end of the podcast, and now we have this not really final question, close to final, but what's the one question have I not asked or have you not asked that you think everyone should ask?
That everyone should ask generally anybody.
Yeah.
Okay, there's one thing. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay, so there are a few things that I like to ask, for example, on every date.
Mm,
And one of my favorite questions is always like, what would you do job-wise? Like,
mm,
what would be your job if you could do anything? Not even in a sense of like, having the education for it, but also having the
mm,
ability for it. Like, let's say you would love to, I don't know, go to space, but you are too tall for it. So you would like to be actually, smaller to actually fit that description. Or let's say you would
mm.
love to be an amazing artist, but you're just a really, really bad painter. But like, if you could do anything, if you literally could choose anything, what would be your job? What would you love to do?
For me, very good question. Luckily, when you're saying that, and then like, I'm glad that my mind was running, and then it actually found an answer. So like, yeah, if I don't have to think about anything personally, I would be. I don't know what a specific name for this job, but I would be someone that will be working on helping to spread mental health awareness. After I
Mm-hmm.
started getting therapy, and because I realized how mentally troubled my mom was, I realized that mental health is very important, and then definitely, I would do that like in any way to spread mental health awareness, or even
Mm-hmm.
just bring people that actually need mental health, the resources they need and all this. That would be something that I would put my full effort into if I can. Yeah.
That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I just realized how big of an influence just having having support on your mental health
Mm-hmm.
can really influence your life and everything. And I mean, it really did help me a lot. And then I was like, wow, if I knew this earlier, like it took me so long to get into it. So I thought I had this thought a long time ago, and then I never executed it. And then because it's mainly because this podcast, I met so many amazing people, and then
Mm-hmm.
many of them they said that how much mental health has helped them. And then even after like I think I spoke to three of them, then I only thought like okay, I should go for therapy. And even after that decision, it took me 1 month before I booked the appointment.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why how long it took. So definitely, if I can do it, and then like only when I joined it, I was so mind blown by how helpful it is. I was like, oh my god, I
Yeah.
should have just done this a lot earlier. So if I can, definitely I would love to spread the awareness and then help people who wants to get help and needs to get help in mental health to get into that sooner, earlier, and all that.
Yeah. 100%. That's
Mm.
really cool.
But yes, okay. Final question that I ask every guest: what would be one book and one movie recommendation that you would give to everyone?
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay, okay, okay.
it could be
I have
just
a
your
couple.
favorite favorite book. Okay, I like that you have something in
Okay,
mind.
no, it's not that I have a couple. I have a couple of thoughts because the thing is, okay, so in the beginning of this year, like on the 1st of January, I was doing all of these stupid TikTok filters of like, this is how your year is going to be, whatever. And there was one filter that was about how many books should I read this year. And on
Hmm.
average, like I am a pretty big reader. I have been when I was younger, then I lost a little bit during my study time, and then I got more
Hmm.
into it again in like 2021, 22. But my average is like 20 to 30 books per year, which I think it's good. I'm
Wow,
I'm fine with that. I think it's
that's
good.
good.
But in the filter it said 69. And I was like, that is, first of all, that's a lot, but also that's hilarious because in my mind,
Yeah.
I'm obviously 12 years old, so I find it funny. And I was like, I'm gonna read 69 books if it kills me. Um, and I actually finished my 65th book today of this year. I am
Wow.
so close to my goal. It's incredible. Um, And
Congratulations. That is such an achievement. Wow.
it's my biggest achievement of the year. I'm so proud of it.
Yeah.
Like no idea. Yes, and I was reading, I mean also most of the books, like I was not reading, crazy straining psychology novels or something like that. But I think also, we need to step away from the thought of when you're reading, it needs to be something that is crazy inspiring or something. No, it just needs to be something entertaining. In the end, a book is a media, and as soon, like, it's the same as if people watch stupid Netflix shows to make them laugh.
Hmm.
It's the same about books. It's just do in that moment what feels like that's what you need in that moment. So I'm reading a lot
Hmm.
of books that are just basic romance or fantasy or all of these things, but I'm also reading some other things in between just to keep it keep the brain working. And one of my favorite books this year, and I think it's a really, really big recommendation, first of all, for romance lovers, but especially for queer people, and also for
Okay.
everybody else, because it's not, the book is not necessarily only about being queer. It's just that it paints the queer experience in such a beautiful picture. And
Hmm.
it is, I actually have it here. No, I don't. Do I have it here?
Oh.
I think I do. Maybe I think I borrowed it to someone. I borrowed it to someone. But it's
Oh.
called The Pairing by,
The Pairing
yes, by
by
McQuinston.
Casey, is it? Casey
Yes, Casey
McQuinston.
McQuinston,
Okay.
exactly.
I
I
found
think
it
I
here.
do have it. Is it that one? No.
Wow.
Ah, it's in my gay books section, which I moved today. That's why I could not find it. But yeah,
I like that
I have
you
a
even have
gay book
sections
section.
within
I
your
do. I do.
library. It sounds like you have a bookshop.
I do. No, but it's really, really beautiful. It's amazing.
Hmm.
It's about a couple who they separated, and then after a few years, they are randomly booking the same vacation trip through Europe together.
Okay.
And then they are there forced to spend time together every day for, like, I don't know, a couple weeks. And it's incredibly funny. It's
Hmm.
it's really sweet. It's really sweet. It's really cute. It's very intense how they're describing the flavors of, the pizza in Italy and stuff like that. It's just amazing. You get hungry automatically while reading it. It's
I'm
great.
already feeling hungry after you said that word.
Yes, it's great. It's amazing. But also I think especially as a queer person, it shows
Hmm.
the queer experience in so many different facets, and all of them, I mean not all of them, but most of them are so happy and positive, which we don't
Hmm.
get often in media. Like oftentimes, especially in shows and stuff, the one queer person that is in the show is usually someone who has problems with being queer. Like for example, being discriminated, or having problems with the family, or having problems with the coming out and things like that. And that is a very, very valid part of most of the queer experiences for sure. But I do wish that we would have more positive representation, because imagine you're like, 12 years old and you think that you might be gay, and then everything you see in the media is how gay people are struggling.
I
Of
see.
course, that's not going to encourage you to,
Hmm.
thrive on that path and discover that part of yourself. And
Hmm.
so I can really, really recommend The Pairing, and also her other, like I also read one other book of her, One Last Stop, which is also really cute.
One last
But The
stop.
Pairing was definitely my favorite. And I can really recommend it to anyone who wants to read a funny, cute, and emotional romance book about two incredibly cool characters and falling in love with those characters. Because that's what I did while reading. Yes.
I see. I mean, like it's been like just by hearing what you said, it's been really interesting, and then I feel like it could be the next book that I'm reading. Yeah.
I hope so. I hope so. It's really
Because
it's
I've
really
been
cute.
like
Oh, it's so cute.
I'm too much of a non-fiction reader that I need all these fiction suggestions to bring me like into like learning, like not learning, but more like just like having fun, enjoying reading and all that. So
Mm.
definitely something that I'll read.
Yeah, no, it's a,
Yeah.
it's a good fun read for in between. It's like a perfect vacation read, actually.
Amazing. Okay. I look forward to it. What about movies?
Movies. There's a series that I can highly
Hmm.
recommend, which is When
Okay.
They See Us. I don't know,
When
did
they
you watch
see
it?
us. I think I heard about it. Let me have a search. When they see us.
It's on Netflix, and it's a mini series. It's like 4 episodes, and then each episode is like 1 hour, 1.5, kind of.
Okay.
And it's like it's kind of the opposite of the book. It's really heavy, and really emotional, and
Hmm.
really hard to digest. But I can highly recommend. everybody watching just because it's really, really well done. And it's about this true case of I think it was sometime in the 80s in
Mm-hmm.
America, in the USA, where I think 4 boys or 5 boys were accused of raping a woman. And the
Okay.
woman was white and the boys were black, and they didn't do it, but of course they were, sentenced to jail, even though they didn't have any evidence to base it on.
I
And that
see.
series is kind of following the whole trial of, like,
Mm-hmm.
from when it happened to how they got interrogated to the trial and what happened in prison and how it got solved again, literally, I think 12 or 15 years later, so like way too late. Um, and it's very heavy. It's really hard to watch, but I think it's just a really good series in a sense of showing a light on these things, and at the same time it's just so well done and the actors are incredible, and I think it's just a really, really, really good series. Yeah.
See, that is amazing. Okay. Oh my God, I always love like honestly like this part of the conversation is more like for me to steal things from everyone. And then I like that it's always different for every
Hmm.
guest that I speak to. So it's always amazing. It just adds on to my library of interesting things that I can watch and read.
For
Yeah.
sure, I feel it. I have like a whole note in my phone that is just recommendations, and it's so long. I don't even know when I will go through all of them.
I see, I see. Okay. But yes, thank you so much for this whole conversation. Thank you for being so honest and sharing so much about your journey and then your struggles and then what you love about yourself. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really
Hmm.
truly enjoy, talking about all of these things, because also those are conversations that you usually
Hmm.
don't have every day, and especially not with a basically a stranger.
Oh, yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
but I love that. I love that,
Absolutely.
and I think it truly
Hmm.
makes you, feel connected to the other person in a special way. So thank you so much for having me and asking me all of these things and listening and also answering my questions.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for your time. If you enjoyed the podcast, I would really appreciate if you leave us a 5-star review and follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Thanks again for listening to Gen Z Journey. We'll see you again next week. Remember to subscribe to get notified as new episodes come out every Thursday, and please share this podcast to anyone you think would enjoy it. This is Andrew Kwan from Gen Z Journey.